What if I told you that everything you've learned about God, about spirituality, and about the origins of faith has been carefully filtered to hide a truth that could completely revolutionize your view of the divine? What if there were knowledge so powerful, so transformative, that entire religious institutions have dedicated centuries to keeping it away from you? Today you're going to discover something that will shake the foundations of what you consider sacred. We're going to talk about the hidden African god, a supreme deity who existed thousands of years before any organized religion we know today, and whose teachings have been deliberately erased from the official history of humanity. Why is it that when we talk about spirituality, about connecting with the divine, about sacred texts, our minds automatically go to European or Middle Eastern traditions? Why is Africa, the cradle of humanity, the cradle of civilization, systematically ignored when the subject is advanced spiritual development? The answer will shock you. For over 2,000 years, a silent conspiracy has worked to bury the deepest knowledge about the nature of God that has ever existed on planet Earth. I'm not talking about theories. I'm talking about documented historical facts, ancient texts that predate by millennia the sacred books we know, wisdom so advanced that it would challenge the entire modern religious system. The African god you are about to meet today is not just another regional deity. It is the most sophisticated and complete concept of the divine ever developed by the human mind. A god who transcends all the limitations imposed by organized religions, connecting science and spirituality in a way that modern quantum physicists are only beginning to understand. This knowledge was so threatening to the power structures that emerged throughout history that entire civilizations were destroyed to prevent its dissemination. Libraries were burned, oral traditions were forcibly interrupted, entire peoples were enslaved, not only physically but spiritually, so that this truth would never reach you. But why so much fear? Why so much effort to hide something that should be the spiritual heritage of all humanity? Because this African god represents something that no religious institution can control: the direct connection between human beings and the divine, without intermediaries, without hierarchies, without dogmas that limit their spiritual experience. When you grasp the true dimension of this ancestral divinity, when you understand the methods that ancient Africans developed to connect with this supreme force, your spiritual life will never be the same. You will have access to a transformative power that transcends any religion, any church, any spiritual leader. Today we will delve into texts that have been hidden, symbols that have been distorted, and practices that have been demonized, so that you may have direct access to the original source of all human spiritual wisdom. We will discover how our African ancestors not only knew God in a more intimate and powerful way than we imagine, but also developed spiritual technologies that can transform your reality today, at this very moment. Get ready, because what you're about to discover in the next few minutes will challenge everything you thought you knew about spirituality, history, and your own divine potential. And when we're finished, you'll never look at your spiritual journey the same way again. If this kind of revolutionary knowledge is what you seek, if you are ready to expand your consciousness beyond the limits imposed by the system, then I need you to demonstrate it right now. Like this video so that more people have access to these hidden truths. Subscribe to the channel because content like this is rare on the internet. And most importantly, activate the notification bell, because what we are going to reveal here can be censored at any time. Your support is fundamental so that we can continue bringing this knowledge that has been suppressed for centuries. Now let's get to what really matters. Let's start with a question that will challenge everything you believe about religion and spirituality. Did you know that the concept of a single omnipotent and omnipresent God did not originate in the Middle East as you've been taught, but rather in the heart of Africa, thousands of years before any biblical text was written? This is not an alternative theory or New Age speculation. These are documented historical facts that have been systematically erased from global education. The African god we will study today is called Amma, Nyame, Olodumare, Nzambi, different names for the same supreme force that African peoples revered long before the great organized religions existed. These names represent such an advanced concept of divinity that it would perplex modern theologians. We're not talking about a limited tribal god, but a cosmic understanding of the divine that integrated science, philosophy, and spirituality in a way that the West is only beginning to rediscover. When you understand the true depth of this African spiritual tradition, you immediately realize why it was suppressed. This African god didn't need grand temples, didn't demand tithes, didn't require a priestly caste to mediate the relationship with the divine. The connection was direct, personal, transformative. Each individual had direct access to the supreme source of all creation through specific practices that developed cosmic consciousness. Imagine the impact this knowledge would have on modern religious structures. A spirituality that doesn't depend on institutions, that doesn't need external authority, that places divine power directly in the hands of each person. That's why it was necessary to destroy this tradition, enslave these peoples, burn their libraries, and interrupt their lineages of oral transmission. But here's the fascinating part. Even with all this effort to erase this wisdom, it survived. Fragments of it appear in religious traditions around the world. The Christian concept of the Trinity. It's a simplified version of the African understanding of the triune nature of the divine. The idea of a God who is in all things. Africans called this the universal life force, thousands of years before pantheism was formulated in Europe. The connection between spirituality and healing. African traditions developed this to a level that modern medicine is only beginning to validate. What is most impressive is the philosophical sophistication of this tradition. While other cultures struggled with the problem of reconciling a benevolent God with the existence of evil in the world, African spirituality had already understood that the divine transcends these human dualities. Amma, the supreme god of the Dogon, for example, is described as the source of all polarity, but also exists beyond it. It is a concept so advanced that it anticipates by millennia the discoveries of quantum physics about the fundamental nature of reality. And the most revolutionary thing of all, this tradition saw no separation between the material and the spiritual. For ancient Africans, all of creation was a direct manifestation of the divine. Each atom carried the essence of God. Each living being was a unique expression of cosmic consciousness. This means that you, exactly as you are a direct and perfect manifestation of the divine. You don't need salvation. You don't need forgiveness for original sins. You don't need intermediaries. You are already the expression of divinity on earth. This understanding completely changed the way these people lived. There was no guilt, no fear of the divine, no concept of eternal punishment. There was cosmic responsibility, connection with nature, continuous development of consciousness, and a partnership with universal forces. It was a spirituality of empowerment, not submission. When you understand this, you understand why it was necessary to destroy this tradition in order to implement religious systems based on control, fear, and dependence. A population that knows itself as a direct expression of the divine does not accept external authority over its spirituality. A person who knows how to directly access the creative power of the universe does not depend on institutions for their personal transformation. But here's the good news. This knowledge is resurfacing. Courageous researchers are recovering ancient texts, oral traditions are being restored, and ancestral African wisdom is becoming available again to those who have eyes to see and ears to hear. In the following sections, we will delve deeply into this tradition. You will discover the sacred African texts that predate all known religious books, learn about spiritual practices that can transform your reality, and understand how this wisdom connects with the most advanced scientific discoveries of today. If you are feeling something different happening within you while listening to these words, if something is awakening in your consciousness, write the word awaken in the comments. I want to know how many people are ready to go beyond the limitations imposed by the system and access their true divine nature. Now that you understand the magnitude of what has been hidden from you, let's delve into something even more shocking. All, and I mean all, the great spiritual traditions of the world have their roots in ancestral African wisdom. This is not a nationalist or politically motivated statement. These are archaeological, linguistic, and anthropological facts that have been carefully omitted from mainstream education to maintain the narrative of the spiritual superiority of other cultures. Start by thinking about ancient Egypt. Everyone knows that Egyptian civilization was African, but few connect the dots that all the spiritual knowledge we admire in Egypt, the texts of the dead, mummification, sacred architecture, astrology, all came from the spiritual traditions of sub-Saharan Africa. The Egyptian pharaohs were black Africans, and their spirituality was a direct evolution of traditions that had already existed for thousands of years in the interior of the continent. But let's delve deeper. The very word God in Hebrew, Elohim, has linguistic roots that go back to the names given to the divine by ancient African traditions. The Jewish concept of Ein Sof, the formless infinite, is practically identical to the African concept of Olorin as the ineffable source of all creation. This is no coincidence. It is a direct inheritance. Early Christianity? It flourished first in Africa. Ethiopia was the second country in the world to adopt Christianity as its official religion, and its Christian traditions preserve elements of ancestral African spirituality that were completely lost in European Christianity. When you study Ethiopian Christianity, you find practices of direct connection with the divine, rituals of transcendence, and an understanding of the Christic nature that is much closer to the original teachings. And what about Islam? The Prophet Muhammad himself had African ancestry, and many of the earliest Muslims were African. The oldest and most respected Islamic universities were located in Timbuktu, in the heart of Africa. Sufism, the mystical branch of Islam, carries practices of spiritual ecstasy and direct connection with Allah that are virtually identical to techniques developed by African mystics millennia before. But here's where things get really fascinating. When you analyze the spiritual traditions of Asia, Hinduism, Buddhism, Taoism, you find striking parallels with African wisdom. The Hindu concept of Brahman, the ultimate reality that permeates all existence, is virtually identical to the African concept of Nyame among the Akan people. Buddhist meditation practices bear incredible similarities to the sacred trance techniques developed by African griots and shamans. How is this possible? The answer lies in human migration. Africa was the cradle of humanity, and when the first human groups migrated to other continents, they took with them not only their genes, but also their spiritual traditions. Over thousands of years, these traditions evolved and adapted to different cultures and environments, but maintained their original African essence. What makes this even more striking is that many of these connections were deliberately obscured. During the colonial period, it was convenient for European powers to portray Africa as a continent without significant spiritual history. This justified not only slavery and colonization, but also the project of civilizing and Christianizing Africans, as if they did not already possess a developed spiritual tradition of their own. But Africans not only had their own spiritual traditions, they were older, more sophisticated, and more integrated than anything the colonizers brought. African spirituality did not separate the sacred from the profane, did not see the body as inferior to the spirit, and did not create rigid hierarchies between the human and the divine. It was a holistic spirituality that recognized the sacred nature of all existence. When you understand this universal African heritage, many things that seemed mysterious begin to make sense. Why do such different spiritual traditions, developed on separate continents, have so many elements in common? Why do concepts like reincarnation, vital energy, connection with ancestors, and the use of sacred plants for expanding consciousness appear in cultures that supposedly never had contact? Because they all derive from the same original source, African spiritual wisdom. This means that when you connect with these ancestral African traditions, you are not adopting something foreign. You are returning to your deepest spiritual roots, regardless of your skin color or ethnic origin. This is the spiritual heritage of all humanity, and here lies the revolutionary power of this understanding. When you recognize Africa as the original source of all human spirituality, you automatically question all the racial and cultural hierarchies that have been constructed to justify oppression and domination. You understand that true spirituality is inclusive, empowering, and transformative for all human beings. In the following sections, we will explore specifically how this ancestral African wisdom can be applied to your life today. You will discover concrete practices, profound understandings, and transformative methods that your spiritual ancestors developed and that remain valid and powerful today. If you are beginning to feel proud of this universal spiritual heritage, if you are realizing the depth of what has been hidden from us, leave a comment saying, "Ancestral Heritage." Let's see how many people are ready to honor their true spiritual roots. Prepare to have your mind expanded beyond any concept of divinity you've ever imagined. The supreme God of ancient African traditions is not only different from what you've been taught, he is infinitely more sophisticated, more accessible, and more transformative than any Western religious interpretation has managed to capture. Let's begin with Olodumare, the supreme god of the Yoruba people. Olodumare is not an anthropomorphic being sitting on a celestial throne judging your actions. Olodumare is the very essence of existence, the primordial creative force that manifests itself through everything that exists. Imagine a God who is not separate from creation, but who is creation. Every atom of your body, every thought in your mind, every beat of your heart is a direct expression of Olodumare. This understanding changes everything. You don't need to seek God somewhere external because you already are a manifestation of God. There is no separation, no distance, no abyss between you and the divine that needs to be crossed through religious intermediaries or complex rituals. The connection is immediate, constant, and inescapable. But Olodumare is even more fascinating when you understand its triune nature. Just as modern quantum physics has discovered that energy can manifest as particle, wave, and field simultaneously, Olodumare manifests as three fundamental aspects. Olodumare as the ineffable source, Olorin as the manifest aspect in creation, and Elida as the individual creative force present in every being. It is a trinity far more sophisticated and integrated than any Christian interpretation has ever managed to articulate. Now we turn to Amma, the supreme god of the Dogon people of Mali. The Dogon are famous for their impossible astronomical knowledge. They knew about Sirius B, a white dwarf star invisible to the naked eye, centuries before modern telescopes discovered it. How did they know? Through their connection with Amma, who revealed cosmic secrets to them that science is only now confirming. For the Dogon people, Amma is the god of primordial vibration, of the creative word that gave rise to the universe. When Amma spoke the first word, he created the vibration that generated all physical reality. Does that sound familiar? It should. That's exactly what quantum physics has discovered about the fundamental vibratory nature of reality. The Dogon have known this for millennia. And here's where it gets really impressive. Amma didn't create the universe as a single event in the past. Amma is constantly creating the universe through continuous vibration. Every moment is a new act of creation. Every instant is a new expression of the divine word. You are not living in an old creation. You are participating in the creative process that is happening right now. Let us turn to Nyame, the supreme god of the Akan people of Ghana. Nyame is known as he who is near but cannot be touched, he who is far away but hears every whisper. This apparent contradiction reveals a profound understanding of the paradoxical nature of the divine. Nyame is simultaneously transcendent and immanent, infinite and intimate, universal and personal. The brilliance of this concept lies in the fact that it resolves all the philosophical problems that have plagued Western theology for centuries. How can God be omnipresent and yet personal? How can he be infinite and yet care about individual human issues? The Akan people resolved this by understanding that these are not contradictions, but complementary aspects of the divine nature. Nyame is also known as the god who never sleeps, who is constantly attentive to all creation. But this vigilance is not one of judgment or punishment. It is one of loving care, of continuous sustenance of existence. Nyame is not watching you to punish you for mistakes. Nyame is sustaining your existence at every moment, keeping you alive through pure love. And then we have Nzambi, the supreme god of the Congolese people. Nzambi is described as the god of life, the lord of all spirits, the one who distributes destinies but can also change them. This last characteristic is revolutionary. Nzambi is not a god of fixed and immutable destinies. He is a god of infinite possibilities, of constant transformation, of continuous evolution. When you connect with Nzambi, you are not submitting to a predetermined destiny. You are partnering with the creative force of the universe to co-create your reality. Your thoughts, your intentions, your actions are not irrelevant. They are tools through which Nzambi manifests new possibilities in the world. What all these concepts have in common is that they present a God who does not need to be feared, but can be loved. A God who does not demand submission, but invites partnership. A God who does not judge, but empowers. A God who is not distant, but is intimately present in every aspect of your experience. This is the fundamental difference between ancestral African spirituality and the organized religions that came later. African spirituality was not created to control people through fear. It was developed to empower people through love and direct connection with the divine. When you understand the true nature of the supreme African God, you understand that there is no original sin, no fundamental separation between you and the divine, no need for external salvation. You are already perfect as an expression of the divine. Your journey is not about becoming worthy of God. It is about recognizing and expressing the divinity that you already are. If you are feeling a deep resonance with this understanding of God, if something within you is recognizing this ancient truth, write inner divinity in the comments. I want to see how many people are ready to reclaim their original divine nature. Now we're going into truly forbidden territory. I'm going to show you sacred African texts that are older than the Bible, deeper than the Vedas, more transformative than any scripture you've ever known, and which have been systematically censored, hidden, and destroyed so that you would never have access to this ancestral wisdom. Let's begin with the pyramid texts of ancient Egypt, specifically those found in the Pyramid of Unas, dating back to 2400 BC, 1,000 years before the oldest biblical texts. These texts contain the oldest known religious literature of humanity and reveal an understanding of the afterlife, the nature of the soul, and the process of spiritual transformation that puts any modern theology to shame. But here's what they didn't tell you. These texts don't speak of divine judgment or eternal punishment. They describe a process of reunification with the divine source that is accessible to all human beings. Pharaoh Unas wasn't special because he was king. He was an example of the divine potential that exists in every person. The texts make it clear: you will become a god, you will sit on the throne of Osiris, you will command those in heaven. And the most revolutionary phrase of all, written in hieroglyphs 4,400 years ago: God is in you, you are in God, and God is you. This is far more radical than any Christian teaching about the divinity of Christ. Ancient Africans understood that all human beings share the same divine nature. Let's move on to something even more impressive: the Book of Day Coming, incorrectly known as the Book of the Dead. This text, dating back over 3,500 years, is not about death, it's about spiritual awakening. Day coming means emerging into the light of cosmic consciousness. The entire book is a practical manual for achieving expanded states of consciousness and connecting directly with cosmic forces. Chapter 125 of this book contains the Negative Confession, a list of 42 affirmations that predate the 10 Commandments by over 1,000 years and are infinitely more sophisticated. Instead of external prohibitions, they are declarations of internal alignment with the cosmic order. I have not caused unnecessary suffering. I have not stopped the flow of water. I have not extinguished the flame when it should have burned. Now let's move on to texts that are even more censored. The Odu Ifa of the Yoruba people. Odu Ifa is considered by scholars to be one of the most complex and complete systems of knowledge ever developed by humanity. It consists of 256 sacred texts that cover all aspects of human existence: cosmology, psychology, medicine, ethics, philosophy, astronomy, mathematics, and spirituality. Each Odu contains between 600 and 800 verses, totaling more than 200,000 verses of ancestral wisdom. To compare, the entire Bible has approximately 31,000 verses. Odu Ifa is 6 times larger and infinitely more detailed in its practical guidance for human life. We live in extremely difficult times in which prophecies are marked, but many still do not realize what is happening in the world. For this, I have made my ebook available, To Reveal the Apocalypse, which you can download immediately through the first set of comments. This book will help you uncover all the mysteries of the apocalypse and transform your life. Go to the first set of comments to get your copy, as very little remains and will be removed soon. Don't waste time. Click now and secure your digital copy. And don't forget to get your Reveal the Apocalypse ebook. It is very important that you buy it quickly before the copies run out. But here's what makes Odu Ifa truly unique. They are not dogmatic texts that you must accept on faith. They are practical maps for navigating life based on deep observation of the natural patterns of the universe. Each Odu describes an archetypal situation of human experience and offers precise guidance on how to harmonize with cosmic forces to create the most beneficial outcome. And most impressively, Odu Ifa contains scientific knowledge that humanity has only recently rediscovered. Verses that describe the double helix structure of DNA, that speak of the wave nature of light, that explain principles of genetics thousands of years before modern science existed. Let's turn to the sacred texts of the Dogon people, the Komo Kan, the Book of Creation. These texts describe the creation of the universe through specific sound vibrations, explain the spiral structure of galaxies, and contain precise information about star systems that were only discovered by modern astronomy in the 20th century. The Como Kan also describes 22 categories of primordial matter, which correspond exactly to the 22 types of elementary particles identified by modern particle physics. Coincidence? Impossible. These texts were transmitted orally for over 5,000 years before modern physics existed. And then we have the sacred texts of the Akan people, the Adwo Asem, which contains the most sophisticated understanding of the nature of time ever developed. These texts describe time not as a straight line, but as a spiral where past, present, and future mutually influence each other. They explain how to access information from different points in time and how to use this knowledge to transform the present. Why were these texts censored? Why was such advanced wisdom systematically destroyed or hidden? Because they contain information that would render obsolete all the religious, political, and social control structures that were built to keep humanity in a state of dependence and ignorance. When you have direct access to cosmic knowledge, when you understand the natural laws that govern existence, when you know how to connect directly with universal forces, you don't need any external authority to mediate your relationship with the divine or to tell you how to live your life. These texts reveal that you are a cosmic being with direct access to all the wisdom of the universe. They teach practical spiritual technologies that can transform your physical reality. They show that there is no separation between science and spirituality, between matter and consciousness, between human and divine. In the following sections, we will explore how this censored wisdom can be applied to your life today, how you can access this ancestral knowledge and use it to create the reality you desire. If you are shocked by the depth of knowledge that has been hidden from us, if you feel anger at having been deprived of this spiritual heritage, write censored texts in the comments. We need this ancestral wisdom to be known by all who are ready to receive it. Now we come to the most controversial and disturbing point of this entire revelation. I will show you exactly how and why a systematic conspiracy has worked for over 2,000 years to erase from human history the most advanced spiritual tradition that has ever existed on the planet. And when you understand the mechanisms of this conspiracy, you will understand why your spiritual life has been deliberately limited and impoverished. The first phase of this conspiracy began with the Arab invasion of North Africa in the 7th century. When the Arab armies conquered Egypt, one of the first things they did was destroy the Library of Alexandria, the greatest repository of African spiritual and scientific knowledge in the ancient world. This was not an accident of war. It was a deliberate and systematic destruction of millions of texts containing ancestral African wisdom. But why destroy knowledge? Because the Arab invaders immediately realized that African spirituality was incompatible with their plans for religious domination. How do you control a people who believe that each person is a direct manifestation of the divine? How do you impose religious authority on people who have direct access to the cosmic source of all wisdom? Impossible. The only solution was to destroy this tradition completely. The second phase came with Roman Christianity. When the Roman Empire adopted Christianity as its official religion in the 4th century, one of its first decisions was to eliminate all spiritual traditions that competed with the Church's authority. African Christian communities, which preserved elements of ancestral spirituality in their practices, were declared heretical and systematically destroyed. But here's where the conspiracy gets even more sinister. The Catholic Church not only destroyed African traditions, it stole central elements of that spirituality and incorporated them into Christianity, but stripped them of their original transformative power. The concept of the Trinity, stolen from the African understanding of the triune nature of the divine, the idea of saints interceding between humans and God, a distorted version of the African system of Orishas and elevated ancestors. The crucial difference is that in original African spirituality, these elements empowered the individual to connect directly with the divine. In institutional Christianity, they have been transformed into mechanisms of dependence and control. Instead of having direct access to the Orishas as cosmic forces within you, you now need to ask external saints. Instead of recognizing your own triune nature as a reflection of the divine, you now worship an external and inaccessible trinity. The third phase was Atlantic slavery. This was not merely economic exploitation. It was a systematic project of spiritual destruction. European colonizers understood that as long as Africans maintained their connection to their ancestral spiritual traditions, it would be impossible to completely subjugate them. Therefore, the first priority on slave ships was to break that spiritual transmission. African priests and priestesses were preferentially murdered. People from the same ethnic group were separated to prevent the preservation of oral traditions. Sacred instruments were destroyed, native languages were forbidden, and any manifestation of African spirituality was brutally punished. It was not enough to enslave the bodies. It was necessary to enslave the souls. But even so, the tradition survived. In Brazil, it disguised itself as popular Catholicism and emerged as candomblé and umbanda. In Haiti, it became Vodou. In Cuba, it transformed into Santeria. In the United States, it profoundly influenced the musical and spiritual traditions of African Americans. African spirituality proved so powerful that not even centuries of systematic oppression could completely destroy it. And this is where the conspiracy becomes contemporary. In the 20th century, when African independence movements began to rediscover and value their ancestral spiritual traditions, a new form of suppression was implemented: academic and media ridicule. African spirituality was portrayed as primitive, superstitious, inferior to the civilized traditions of the East and West. European anthropologists deliberately distorted and simplified African traditions in their studies, presenting highly sophisticated spiritual systems as primitive animism. Christian missionaries continued the work of destruction, now using educational methods instead of direct violence. The goal remained the same: to break the connection of Africans with their ancestral spiritual heritage. And the most recent phase of this conspiracy: selective cultural appropriation. Isolated elements of African spirituality are extracted from their sacred context and marketed as spiritual consumer goods. You can buy shamanic drums, have energy cleansings, participate in ayahuasca rituals, all stripped of their original African spiritual foundation and transformed into commodities for Western spiritual consumers. But why does this conspiracy persist to this day? Because ancestral African spirituality remains the greatest threat to all control systems based on external authority. A person who recognizes their intrinsic divine nature does not accept being controlled by authoritarian governments, dogmatic religions, or exploitative economic systems. A humanity connected to its African spiritual heritage would be an empowered, enlightened, unified humanity. It would be the end of all forms of oppression based on racial, religious, or cultural differences. It would be the beginning of a new era where each human being recognizes and expresses their inner divinity without needing intermediaries or external authorities. That's why the conspiracy continues. That's why you never learned about Odu Ifa in school. That's why sacred African texts aren't available in bookstores. That's why when spirituality is mentioned, your mind automatically goes to Asian or European traditions, never to the original African source. But now you know. Now you understand how this conspiracy works. And knowledge is power. The power to break the invisible chains that have limited your spiritual heritage. The power to directly access the wisdom that is your birthright as a human being. If you are outraged by what has been stolen from all of humanity, if you are determined to reclaim your ancestral African spiritual heritage, write "break the chains" in the comments. Let's show that this conspiracy of silence is coming to an end. Prepare to discover what may be the most practical and transformative part of this entire revelation. The symbols and rituals of ancestral African spirituality are not folkloric decorations or primitive superstitions. They are precise spiritual technologies that can alter your physical reality in ways that science is only beginning to understand. Let's begin with the most powerful and most censored symbol of African tradition, the Egyptian Ankh. You've probably seen this symbol before, a cross with a circle on top, but its true meaning has never been explained to you. The Ankh is not just a symbol of eternal life. It's an energetic map of the human body and a tool for activating power centers that lie dormant within you. The upper circle represents the pineal gland, your third eye, the center of spiritual perception. The vertical line represents your central energy channel, connecting the chakras from the base of the spine to the top of the head. The horizontal line represents the balance between masculine and feminine energies within your energy system. When you meditate visualizing the Ankh, you are literally activating neurological circuits that expand your perception beyond the 5 physical senses. But the Ankh has another power. When used in specific rituals, it acts as an energy amplifier. The ancient Egyptians knew that certain geometric shapes interact with energy fields in predictable ways. The Ankh is an antenna that captures and focuses specific cosmic energies. That is why it appears in all representations of Egyptian gods, not as an ornament, but as a functional tool. Now let's move on to the Adinkra symbols from the Akan tradition of Ghana. These are symbols that carry codes of condensed wisdom. Each Adinkra symbol is an energetic program that, when contemplated or used ritually, activates specific qualities in your consciousness. Gyenyame, for example, means accept God and represents the supremacy of the divine over all things. When you meditate on this symbol, your mind automatically aligns with the cosmic perspective, drastically reducing anxiety and personal worries. It's an instant technology for accessing inner peace and mental clarity. Sankofa, the bird that looks back, represents the importance of learning from the past to build the future. Using this symbol in decision-making rituals activates brain centers related to memory and planning, literally increasing your ability to make wise choices based on experience. And then we have the libation rituals of traditional African peoples. Pouring water or another liquid on the ground while invoking ancestors is not superstition. It's a sophisticated neuroscientific technique for accessing ancestral memory encoded in your DNA. When you perform libation with focused intention, you activate genes that carry information from past generations, literally accessing the wisdom of your biological and spiritual ancestors. African sacred drums operate at specific frequencies that synchronize brainwaves and induce altered states of consciousness. Each traditional rhythm corresponds to specific neurological patterns. The rhythms invoking the Orishas, for example, use frequencies that activate the parasympathetic nervous system, inducing states of spiritual receptivity and deep healing. Modern science has confirmed that African drums produce frequencies that stimulate the production of natural endorphins, reduce cortisol, the stress hormone, and synchronize brain activity among different people participating in the same ritual. This is why African drum circles created such cohesive communities. They literally synchronize the brains of the participants. Let's talk about body painting rituals. Traditional African body paintings are not just art. They are energy circuits applied to the skin. Each color, each pattern, each location on the body has a specific energetic meaning. White paint on the forehead activates the third eye. Red on the chest stimulates the heart center. Specific patterns on the arms and legs create directional energy flows. What's most fascinating is that these paintings correspond exactly to the energy meridians mapped by Chinese acupuncture. But Africans developed this knowledge thousands of years earlier. When you apply these traditional patterns, you are literally reprogramming your energy system to function at optimal levels. African herbal purification rituals are energy cleansing technologies that science is validating through studies on aromatherapy and phytotherapy. Burning copal, myrrh, or other sacred resins produces chemical compounds that alter brain chemistry, inducing states of mental clarity and spiritual elevation. But here's the deeper secret. All these symbols and rituals work because they are based on universal natural laws that ancient Africans understood through millennia of observation and experimentation. They discovered that consciousness and matter interact in specific and predictable ways, and they developed technologies to use these interactions beneficially. When you use an African symbol with the right understanding and intention, you are not practicing superstition. You are applying energetic laws that are as real and verifiable as the law of gravity. The difference is that these laws operate on subtle levels of reality that mainstream science is only beginning to investigate. And here's the most empowering part. You don't need any external authority to use these technologies. You don't need formal initiation. You don't need permission from any priest or master. These are your birthright tools as a human being, part of your ancestral spiritual heritage that cannot be denied or taken from you. In the following sections, I will teach you exactly how to apply these technologies to your daily life, how to use specific rituals to manifest concrete changes, and how to activate symbols to awaken latent abilities within you. If you are feeling a powerful connection to these ancestral technologies, if something within you is recognizing the validity of these practices, write ancestral technology in the comments. Let's see how many people are ready to reclaim their original spiritual tools. Now we're going to enter territory that will completely blow your mind. Modern astronomy, with all its advanced telescopes and space satellites, is merely confirming knowledge that ancient Africans possessed thousands of years ago. And I'm not talking about vague coincidences. I'm talking about specific and precise astronomical information that is impossible to know without advanced technology or some kind of perception that transcends the 5 physical senses. Let's start with the Dogon of Mali, whom I mentioned before. But now I'm going to give you details that will leave you speechless. The Dogon not only knew about Sirius B, the white dwarf star that orbits Sirius A. They knew its exact 50-year orbital period. They knew it was made of extremely dense material, and they had star maps showing its precise position centuries before modern telescopes detected it. But it gets even more impressive. The Dogon also knew about Sirius C, a third star in the Sirius system that Western astronomers only discovered in 1995. They called this star Emiya and described its orbital cycle and physical characteristics with absolute precision. How did they know? According to their oral traditions, this knowledge was passed down by the Nomos, aquatic beings who came from the waters of Sirius to teach humanity. And here's where things get really fascinating. The Dogon not only knew about these specific stars, they understood that Sirius was a multiple star system millions of years before modern astronomy made that discovery. They had knowledge of pulsars, black holes, and the spiral structure of galaxies that science only confirmed in the 20th century. But the Dogon are not an isolated case. Let's go to Great Zimbabwe in southern Africa. The ruins of this ancient complex are aligned with absolute astronomical precision with specific constellations. The great enclosure is oriented to capture the light of the star Canopus at specific times of the year, creating an astronomical calendar that was used for advanced spiritual practices. The builders of Great Zimbabwe also demonstrated knowledge of equinoctial precession, the slow movement of the Earth's axis that causes constellations to shift position over 26,000-year cycles. They built their monuments to function as observatories that tracked these long-term cosmic movements. How could a civilization without telescopes achieve this level of astronomical precision? And then we have the temples of Lalibela in Ethiopia, carved directly into solid rock. These temples are not just architectural marvels. They are a 3-dimensional map of the Milky Way constellation. Each church represents a specific star, and the overall layout accurately reproduces the structure of our galaxy, leaving modern astronomers baffled. The builders of Lalibela also incorporated knowledge about the galactic center, the supermassive black hole at the center of the Milky Way that science has only recently discovered. The Temple of Golgotha in Lalibela is positioned to align precisely with the direction of the galactic center during certain times of the year. But let's move on to something even more impressive: ancient African calendars. The lunar calendar of the Yoruba people is based on 260-day cycles that correspond exactly to the human gestation period and also to the cycles of solar activity. They understood that there is a direct connection between cosmic rhythms, human biological cycles, and fluctuations in solar activity. The Akan people of Ghana developed a calendar that integrates lunar, solar, and Venus cycles in such a sophisticated way that it allows for accurate astronomical predictions hundreds of years into the future. This calendar is more precise than the Gregorian calendar we use today, with a margin of error of only 2 seconds per year. And here is where African astronomy connects directly with spirituality. They understood that celestial movements are not merely physical phenomena, but expressions of cosmic consciousness that directly influence life on Earth. Each planet, each star, each constellation was seen as a specific manifestation of divine intelligence with which human beings could communicate and align. African priest astronomers developed specific techniques to attune human consciousness to different cosmic frequencies. They knew that when certain planets are in specific positions, energetic portals open, allowing access to specific types of knowledge and spiritual power. For example, during specific alignments of Venus and Jupiter, the ancient Egyptians performed rituals that activated what they called the cosmic mind, an expanded state of consciousness that allowed direct access to universal wisdom. During solar eclipses, the Yoruba people practiced spiritual rebirth techniques that literally reprogrammed the human energy system. And the most impressive discovery of all, the ancient Africans knew that our galaxy is moving through space toward a specific region of the cosmos that they called the Great Solar Central. They predicted that when our solar system entered this region, human consciousness would undergo a fundamental transformation. According to their calculations, this period of transformation would begin around the year 2000 AD. Does this sound familiar? All the world's spiritual traditions speak of a period of awakening consciousness that is happening right now. And the ancient Africans not only predicted it, they left specific instructions on how to navigate this cosmic transformation. When you understand that ancient Africans did not separate astronomy from spirituality, that they saw the cosmos as a conscious living being of which we are an integral part, you begin to understand the true nature of reality. You are not living on an isolated planet floating randomly in space. You are participating in a conscious cosmic dance, energetically connected with galactic forces that are constantly influencing your spiritual evolution. In the following sections, I will show you how to apply this astronomical spiritual knowledge to your daily life, how to tune in to cosmic cycles to amplify your manifestations, and how to use planetary alignments to accelerate your personal transformation. If you are feeling a deep connection to this cosmic vision of existence, if something within you is recognizing your nature as a cosmic being, write cosmic being in the comments. Let's see how many people are ready to expand their identity beyond planetary boundaries. Prepare yourself for something that will send shivers down your spine and confirm that everything we are revealing here is not just ancient history. It is living knowledge manifesting itself right now before your very eyes. Ancient African prophecies predicted with frightening accuracy the events that are happening in the world today. And when you understand these predictions, you will realize that we are living through the most significant period in human history. Let's begin with the prophecies of the Hopi people, who, although Native Americans, preserved knowledge they received directly from the African Brothers of the Stars during ancestral migrations. The Hopi Rock prophecy, engraved in stone over 1,000 years ago, predicts 9 signs that would mark the end of an era and the beginning of a new phase of human consciousness. 8 of these 9 signs have already been fulfilled with impressive precision: railroads, iron serpents in the sky, airplanes, black rivers, oil spills, scorched earth in many places, deforestation. Men from afar will come to learn from the humblest, spiritual-seeking movement. Young people will grow their hair like the peoples of the earth, hippie movement, Mika house in the sky, space stations, and earth being shaken, earthquakes increasing. The 9th sign, according to the prophecy, will be a blue star appearing in the sky, followed by a total transformation of human consciousness. And here's what will impress you. Astronomers have recently confirmed the existence of a blue dwarf star that is approaching our solar system and will become visible to the naked eye in the coming years. But let's move on to specifically African prophecies. The oral traditions of the Yoruba people contain the Ifa prophecy about the times of Orunmila, a period where the lost children of Africa would spiritually return home and ancestral knowledge would be revealed through invisible paths of light, the internet. This prophecy predicted that sacred knowledge that had been suppressed for centuries would become globally accessible through energy networks, connecting the entire earth. And there's more. The same prophecy predicted that this period of revelation would be marked by great upheavals on earth and in the heavens, waters rising to reclaim land, and winds carrying diseases through the air. Climate change, rising sea levels, pandemics. All of this was predicted centuries in advance. The prophecies of the Dogon people are even more specific. They predicted that when Po Tolo, Sirius B, completed its 50-year cycle, the Age of Water would begin, a period of global purification where old structures would be dissolved to allow the birth of a new form of civilization. The last cycle of Sirius B was completed in 2019, marking exactly the beginning of the radical transformations we are experiencing. The Dogon also prophesied that during this period, the knowledge of the Nomos, aquatic beings from Sirius, would be gradually revealed to humanity. And what are we seeing? Exponential advances in quantum technology, discoveries about the conscious nature of water, revelations about aquatic life on the moons of other planets, all connected to the teachings that the Nomos supposedly transmitted to the Dogon. The tradition of the Akan people contains the Sankofa prophecy, which predicted a time when the bird would look back to retrieve what was lost, an era where humanity would return to ancestral wisdom to resolve contemporary crises. This prophecy specified that this would happen when the voices of the ancestors could be heard instantly throughout the world. global digital communication. And here's something that will leave you speechless. African prophecies not only predicted events, they provided specific timelines based on astronomical cycles. The sacred African calendars indicate that we are entering what they called the Great Return, a 144-year period where human consciousness would undergo a fundamental transformation beginning approximately in the year 2000. According to these prophecies, this period would be marked by 5 distinct phases: awakening, 2000-2012, purification, 2012 to 2024, revelation, 2024-2036, integration, 2036-2048, and rebirth, 2048-2144. Each phase would have specific characteristics that we can see happening exactly as predicted. We are currently in the transition between purification and revelation, which explains why so much hidden knowledge is coming to light simultaneously. Prophecies indicate that the revelation phase will be marked by the massive disclosure of technologies that were being hidden, the collapse of institutions based on lies, and the emergence of a new generation of spiritual leaders connected to ancestral wisdom. The sacred texts of the Congolese people contain the prophecy of the 2 suns, which predicted a time when a second light would appear in the sky, marking the return of solar consciousness to humanity. Modern interpretations suggest that this second light may refer to the mass awakening of the pineal gland, literally activating an inner second sun in human consciousness. And the most transformative prophecy of all comes from ancient Egyptian traditions, the prophecy of Thoth about the age of Aquarius. According to these texts, when Earth entered the astrological influence of Aquarius, which has recently happened, humanity would rediscover technologies of consciousness that would allow direct communication with cosmic intelligences. Thoth prophesied that during this era, the gates between the worlds would open, and knowledge that had been preserved in secret chambers, Akasha, quantum records, would become accessible to those who developed the keys of perception, expanded states of consciousness. What is most striking is that all these prophecies converge on the same period, exactly now. These are not coincidences. They are precise astronomical and consciousness markers that ancient Africans calculated millennia ago to guide future generations during this crucial period of transformation. When you understand that you are living in the very period that was prophesied as the most significant in human history, everything makes sense. The current crises are not the end of the world. They are the birth of a new era of consciousness that your spiritual ancestors foresaw and for which they left specific navigational instructions. If you feel you were born specifically for this moment, if something within you resonates deeply with the idea of participating in a prophesied transformation, write prophetic times in the comments. Let's see how many people recognize that they are living in the most extraordinary period in human history. Now we arrive at the most practical and transformative part of this entire revelation. Everything you've discovered so far about ancestral African wisdom, about censored texts, about fulfilled prophecies, about cosmic knowledge, all of this only has value if you can apply this wisdom to concretely transform your life. And that's exactly what we're going to do now. Reconnect you with your deepest spiritual roots through specific and immediate practices. The first thing you need to understand is that reconnecting with ancestral African spirituality doesn't depend on your skin color or ethnic origin. Africa is the cradle of all humanity, so these are the spiritual roots of us all, regardless of where our most recent ancestors lived. When you access this tradition, you are returning to the original source of all human spirituality. Let's begin with the most fundamental practice, the Ankh breath. Sit comfortably, place one hand on your chest and the other on your abdomen. Visualize the golden Ankh symbol in the center of your chest. As you slowly inhale for 4 counts, visualize golden energy rising from the base of your spine to the top of your head. Hold your breath for 4 counts while visualizing this energy expanding through the Ankh circle on your head. Exhale for 4 counts, visualizing this energy descending and anchoring in your heart center. Practice this for just 7 minutes daily, and you will begin to notice immediate changes: greater mental clarity, heightened intuition, a feeling of deep connection to something greater than yourself. This is not a metaphorical practice. You are literally activating neurological circuits that were mapped by ancient Africans millennia ago. The second practice is the ancestral reconnection ritual. You will need a glass of clean water. Hold the glass in both hands and say aloud, Ancestors of wisdom, ancestors of light, I acknowledge that I am a product of your journey. Your wisdom lives within me. Your strength flows through me. I ask for guidance to awaken all that you have encoded within my being. Drink the water slowly, visualizing that you are absorbing not just H2O, but ancestral information encoded in the molecular structure of the water. This practice works because science has already proven that water has molecular memory and can carry vibrational information. Ancient Africans knew this and used water as a means of transmitting spiritual knowledge. The third technique is the activation of power centers using Adinkra symbols. Choose 3 symbols: Gai Nyame, divine supremacy; Dwenaman, humility and strength; and Sankofa, wisdom through experience. Draw these symbols on paper or visualize them clearly. Begin with Gai Nyame in the center of your forehead. Trace the symbol mentally while repeating, I am a unique expression of the Supreme Divine. Feel the energy activating in the pineal gland region. Then, visualize Dwenaman in your solar plexus while affirming, I have the strength to be humble and the humility to be strong. Finish with Sankofa at the base of your spine, declaring, I honor my past, I transform my present, I create my future. These symbols function as keys that unlock codes of wisdom stored in your energy system. They are not fanciful beliefs or visualizations. They are activation technologies based on sacred geometry that measurably alter brainwave patterns. The fourth practice is the heart drum. You don't need a physical drum. You can use your hands tapping on your chest. The basic rhythm is strong beat, pause, 2 quick beats, long pause. Repeat this pattern for 7 minutes while visualizing roots of light coming out of your feet and connecting to the center of the earth, and branches of light coming out of the top of your head connecting to the stars. This specific rhythm synchronizes your heartbeat with the Earth's resonant frequency. 7. 83 Hertz, literally aligning you with the planet's electromagnetic pulse. This is how ancient Africans instantly connected with planetary consciousness. The fifth technique is communication with inner Orishas. The Orishas are not external entities that you need to worship. They are aspects of your own divine consciousness that you can activate internally. Each Orisha represents a specific quality: Oxala, peace and clarity; Yemanja, intuition and emotional healing; Ogum, strength and determination; Oxum, love and abundance; Zango, justice and leadership. Choose the Orisha that represents the quality you want to develop. Sit in silence and invite that energy to manifest through you. Don't ask for external help. Affirm that you are activating this divine aspect that already exists within you. Ask yourself, how can I express more of this quality in my life? And pay attention to the answers that arise in your consciousness. The sixth practice is the sacred purpose ritual. Every human being is born with a specific purpose that is encoded in their spiritual DNA. To access this code, you need to align yourself with your cosmic lineage. Light a candle and focus on the flame while asking, why did I come to this earth at this specific moment in history? What is my unique mission in this existence? Don't force answers. Allow them to emerge naturally. They may come as images, sensations, sudden insights, or even in dreams the following night. When you connect with your authentic purpose, your whole life automatically aligns and obstacles begin to dissolve on their own. And finally, the most powerful practice of all, the declaration of spiritual sovereignty. Every day upon waking, look in the mirror and declare, I am a divine being having a human experience. I carry the wisdom of all my ancestors. I have direct access to the source of all creation. I need no intermediaries to connect with the divine. I am free, I am powerful, I am love in action. This declaration reprograms your subconscious mind to operate from your true divine identity instead of the limiting programs that have been installed by society. Over time, you will begin to manifest realities that reflect this new identification. When you practice these techniques consistently, you're not just doing spiritual exercises, you're literally undoing millennia of conditioning that have disconnected you from your original divine heritage. You're reclaiming powers that have always been yours by birthright as a human being. If you commit to practicing at least 3 of these techniques over the next 30 days, write ancestral commitment in the comments. Let's create a community of people who are seriously committed to awakening their inner divinity through ancestral African wisdom. We have reached the culmination of this entire revelation. where you will understand that everything we have discovered about ancestral African wisdom is not just about the past. It is about the future of human spirituality and your active participation in creating a new era of planetary consciousness. What I am about to share will completely transform your vision of the role you are to play in the spiritual evolution of humanity. Ancestral African spirituality has always been integrative in nature. Unlike organized religions that have created artificial divisions between different traditions, African wisdom recognizes that all authentic spiritual manifestations are facets of a single cosmic truth. When you understand this deeply, you automatically become an agent of spiritual unification rather than religious division. The future of spirituality will not be dominated by any specific religion, but by the conscious synthesis of all genuine traditions under the light of original African wisdom. And here's why this is inevitable. Modern quantum physics is confirming concepts that ancestral Africans knew millennia ago, that consciousness and matter are aspects of the same fundamental reality, that everything is interconnected on subtle energetic levels, that observer and observed are an indivisible unity. When science and spirituality are fully reunited, and this is happening now, we automatically return to the original African worldview that never separated these domains of knowledge. African spirituality has always been scientific, and African science has always been spiritual. The future will be a global rediscovery of this holistic integration, but you have a specific role in this transformation. It's no coincidence that you are discovering this knowledge right now. It's no accident that you are feeling a deep resonance with these revelations. You are part of a specific generation that was born to be a bridge between ancestral traditions and the future needs of humanity. Your mission is not to abandon your current spiritual tradition and convert to Africanism. Your mission is to recognize the African elements that already exist in your tradition and use that recognition to deepen and purify your spiritual practice, removing the elements of control, fear, and separation that have been added by human institutions. If you are Christian, recognize that Jesus was teaching principles of divine unity that are identical to the teachings of Olodumare. If you are Buddhist, realize that the African understanding of universal interconnectedness is the same truth that Buddha discovered. If you are Hindu, see that Brahman and Niyame are different names for the same cosmic reality. If you are Muslim, understand that Allah and Amma are expressions of the same infinite source. The future of spirituality will be characterized by people who can navigate fluidly between different traditions because they recognize the underlying unity they all share. You will become a spiritual translator, able to help people from different religious backgrounds find points of connection instead of reasons for conflict. And here's where your personal journey connects with planetary transformation. When you genuinely integrate ancestral African wisdom with your current spiritual practice, you automatically develop capacities that are urgently needed for humanity's evolution. You develop spiritual discernment to distinguish between traditions that empower and systems that control. You develop intelligent compassion that honors cultural differences without accepting oppression. You develop inner strength that allows you to defend truth without creating further division. The new spirituality that is emerging will have specific characteristics that you can begin to embody now. It will be based on direct experience rather than dogma. It will be inclusive rather than exclusive. It will be empowering rather than controlling. It will be scientific rather than superstitious. It will be practical rather than merely theoretical. It will be ecological rather than destructive. It will be unifying rather than divisive. But the most profound transformation will be the recognition that each human being is a unique and irreplaceable aspect of divine consciousness. This means that their spiritual journey is not about conforming to external standards, but about discovering and expressing their authentic and unique divine nature. The future will not need external gurus, masters, or saviors, because each person will recognize and express their own inner mastery. This doesn't mean there will be no more teachers or spiritual guides. It means the relationship will be horizontal rather than vertical, mutual recognition between divine beings who are sharing different aspects of the same cosmic truth. You can learn from someone without becoming dependent on that person. You can honor a master without abdicating your own spiritual authority. And here is the most important prediction. In the next 20 years, we will see the emergence of a generation of spiritual leaders who naturally carry this African synthesis. They will not need to fight against old systems because they will create new systems that make the old ones irrelevant. They will not need to attack established religions because they will offer such superior alternatives that people will naturally migrate to them. You can choose to be part of this emerging leadership, not waiting for permission from old institutions, but taking responsibility for the transformation the world needs. Starting small, with your own life, your own family, your own community. Being a living example of how integrated spirituality works in practice. The future of spirituality will be planetary in scope, but profoundly personal in expression. It will be a global network of awakened beings who maintain their unique individuality while recognizing their fundamental unity. It will be a civilization that honors both cultural diversity and universal truth. Your participation in this transformation begins now, with your conscious decision to incorporate the principles you discovered in this video, not as just another philosophy to study, but as a reality to live, not as information to accumulate, but as wisdom to embody. The world is waiting for people like you, people who have the courage to question old systems, the wisdom to recognize universal truths, and the dedication to live those truths regardless of outside opinion. You were born for this specific moment in history because you have something unique to contribute to this great transformation. If you feel called to be an active part of this new spiritual era, if you are ready to assume your responsibility as an agent of conscious transformation, write "new spiritual era" in the comments. Let's see how many future spiritual leaders are watching this video. If you've made it this far, it wasn't by chance. You've just received a spiritual initiation that will change your life forever. Everything you've discovered about the hidden African god, about censored texts, about prophecies being fulfilled, about practices that awaken dormant powers, all of this is now part of you. You cannot unsee what you've seen or unknow what you've learned. But having this knowledge is only the beginning. What you do with it now determines whether this revelation becomes a real transformation in your life or just more accumulated information. Your African spiritual ancestors did not preserve this wisdom through millennia of oppression to keep it locked away in mental drawers. They preserved it to be lived, embodied, expressed. If this video has fundamentally transformed your understanding of spirituality, if you feel you've rediscovered a lost part of yourself, then your mission is now clear. Share this revelation. Don't let more people live unaware of their divine spiritual heritage. Each person you help awaken to this truth will become a multiplier of this transformation. Like this video so that the YouTube algorithm understands that this content is valuable and shows it to more people who need this information. Subscribe to the channel because content like this is rare and can be censored at any time. And most importantly, share this video with at least 3 people you know who are ready to expand their spiritual awareness. In the comments, I want you to write exactly what impacted you most in this revelation. Use the hashtag #BearAfricanAncestor so we can create a community of people committed to this transformation. And if you want me to make specific videos about any of the topics I mentioned, leave your suggestions. Remember, you now carry a sacred responsibility. You know that there is a spiritual wisdom that can liberate humanity from centuries of limitation and separation. You know that each person has direct access to the divine without needing intermediaries. You know that we are all unique expressions of the same infinite cosmic consciousness. Live this truth. Be the example of this transformation. And when people ask about the source of your inner peace, your mental clarity, your spiritual strength, tell them about the African god who was never hidden from you, just waiting for you to be ready to rediscover him within yourself. The next video appearing on your screen will show you exactly how to apply specific techniques from the Yoruba tradition to manifest financial abundance through energy alignment. If you want to continue deepening your understanding of this ancestral knowledge, click and continue your journey of awakening. Until the next video, always remember, you are divine, you are powerful, you are free, and that is your true nature, not a future aspiration.